violation and the willful defendants been taken care of. Second phase is started with the filling of the gaps in the legislative principle. Then came, along with that came the pharma litigation phase of 2005 to 2010, what we can say. That added a new ground on that public interest ground for as a test for grant of interim injunctions. Otherwise, the courts were following the three test principles laid down in the American Cyanamide case and prima facie case. Balance of convenience and irreparable loss were the only three tests which have been applied, particularly in across the board in all IP litigation, but pharma litigation brought in the test of public interest because of the availability, access to the drugs and medicines. Then that is a time when the courts started being limited, restricted on granting of interim injunction, and rather because of the challenge and a challenge on the validity or the infringement challenge, non-infringement challenge raised by the defendant. So the nature of the defendant changed from 1995 to 2005. The nature was different. There was a blatant willful violation. Here comes the two different class of industry class which started fighting each other. So both were equipped resources, and it was not. So there was a defendant's nature was unwilling licensees, primarily unwilling licensees challenging the validity of the patent, one, and secondly they making a claim of non-infringement. So the court was grappled with the situation of handling a case of an unwilling licensee based on challenge on the validity of the case, of the patent enforced or the infringement analysis. And the second, within that, new phase came in 2005 that gave the high-tech litigation. And here again changed, the nature of the defendant changed. Here there's a willing licensor approaching unwilling licensee. So the test is not on infringement. The test here is that, and the unwilling licensee after the issuance of injunctions becomes a willing licensee. So the court is not much involved in these cases, high-tech cases, with the idea of infringement or with the idea of invalidity of the patent. The court is more because both the parties are now willing to. So the plaintiff is willing to license its patents, and the defendants are willing to take the license, but the issue is that the defendants are stating that the royalty demanded by the licensors are beyond, or it's abuse of a dominant position of those, because these are SCPs. There are no alternate technology available to the in the market, so defendant can't go anywhere then to the plaintiff, and the terms which have been placed by the plaintiff are unreasonable. So that gave another set of new color to the IP litigation, where the question of infringement, before that it was the question of infringement and invalidity were the two most important questions which have been handled by the courts. Now from there it moves to the commercial terms, deciding the commercial terms of the plaintiff and defendant, which is being seen today as which rather is being raised today as a question whether the courts are a competent forum to decide the commercial terms between this, or is it the competition commission which has been there. So most of the defendants here in the high-tech cases, particularly Micromax and Intex, they move to the competition commission. The question is, if it is if these SEP, they have admitted that it is the SEP, so they are willing to. So the position what they took it before the court is now no longer valid, because they themselves are agreeing to the dominant position of, the question which they raised on the validity of patent or essentiality of the patent enforced in before the court has gone away, because they moved to the competition commission. The question here, there remains only the quantum of the commercial terms, the royalty which they need to pay. So the question still has not been decided that which is the right forum to decide on that. So if you look, there's a journey which has gone. So starting first decade of from 1995 2005, pure willing blatant violation, willful violation. No defendant was willing to give it up. Court created systems where the defendant do not left with not left with much of a scope. So the court was, the first 10 years the courts were more focused on creating effective tools of enforcement. Phase 2, pharma litigation came, so the public interest came, and also the nature of the defendant changed. It was that unwilling licensees, whereas now the phase 3 is where they are facing the willing licensor and willing licensee, how to decide between that. I hope I covered the 20 years journey in that. So thank you so much.